So when I tell people that I'm a linguistics major, the first thing everyone says is, "So, how many languages do you speak?" Now, I ignore the fact that that's not really what linguistics is about, and I usually answer, 2, kinda. I almost never feel comfortable saying that I can really speak Spanish. I can communicate and understand and be understood, but there are so many subtle and beautiful nuances to language that how can I ever really say that I speak the language? But then I think back to everyone I met in Oaxaca, my host family, my friends, my coworkers, and I don't think my relationships with them were diminished because I would make mistakes or I might have to ask what something meant. I connected with people on a level I really didn't think would be possible. I chased my 19-year-old host brother around the kitchen, feigning anger after he poked me in the ribs one too many times. I talked with my host parents well into the night, sipping cafecito with too much sugar because they converted me into a coffee drinker. I sat for hours in the rain in makeshift tents outside of the hospital, waiting for news of the little cousin who had fallen and been knocked unconscious. The entire family came. His parents were never alone. We hugged, we cried, and we all breathed a sigh of relief when the doctor said he was going to be all right. He was back to climbing jungle gyms by the weekend. Learning a language is a difficult process, which I think sometimes deters people from trying, which can be really scary when you're not just thinking about majority languages like English, Spanish, or French, but languages in the Zapotec family that are endangered, and if more people don't start speaking them, they will disappear. And there are even more complications aside from the difficulty of learning a language. There are complications based on biases and misconceptions about indigenous peoples and languages. In Oaxaca, I TA'd an introductory linguistics course, specifically for speakers of any Zapotec language. And one woman from the class said that she finally realized that her language was actually a language and not just a dialect or a lesser part of something else. My host family was from a small pueblo called Macuiltianguis. They spoke a variant of Zapotec from their town, which is completely different than the Zapotec spoken in the next town over. They were excited to teach me new words, and they greeted me every morning with "Payuji." They were happy that I was so interested in learning their language, but they talked about how the younger generations spoke it less and less. There are a lot of reasons why a parent might not speak their native language with their child and choose instead to raise them in Spanish. They might think it will give them more opportunities or protect them from discrimination. But if people are afraid to learn or teach a language because they might get it wrong, because they might be labeled or identified in a different way, then there's so much that's lost. I know my situation is different, and there are so many layers to endangered language revitalization and what it means to a community. But I can't help think about my experience in a second language, and all that I would have missed if when someone asked me how many languages I spoke, I answered 1.